So everybody talks about Kendrick's bars, the triple entendres, the Pulitzer Prize, the way he dissected Drake on a diss track that 100 million people listened to in the same 24 hours. But that's not why he's immortal. The bars got him famous, but what kept him relevant is something almost nobody in this culture talks about because it's not exciting. It's not a viral moment. It doesn't fit in a 15-second clip. It's architecture, okay? He's an architect. Most artists build a career. Kendrick built a world. And the difference between those two things is the difference between a name people say and a name people study. So today we're breaking down the actual framework behind Kendrick Lamar's success, not the surface, but the blueprint. Because here's the thing, virality is rented, but legacy is engineered to last. And once you see how he engineered it, you can't unsee it. So let's go back to Compton in 2012. Kendrick drops Good Kid, Mad City. And if you were paying attention at that time, you felt something different about that album immediately. It wasn't just good, it was complete. It had a structure that felt almost novelistic. It was like a novel, like a movie. An 18-year-old in Compton was narrating his own coming of age through one day in the city. Every every track is a scene in the same movie. Now I know he wasn't 18 when he dropped it. However, his frame of reference when he was talking. So the people who study films, they noticed. The hip hop heads, they noticed. The critics, they noticed. But here's what most people didn't say out loud at the time. Kendrick had built a world that you couldn't just skip through. So that matters more than any single bar on any single song. The research is clear on what separates a classic from everything else. It's not technical skill alone. The rankings show, like, objective rankings that I have done myself with AI tools and a bunch of scripts because I'm a developer. Tech Nine and Lupe Fiasco, think of it like 2K. Tech Nine and Lupe Fiasco are 98 and 97 on pure technical merit, and neither of them has an album in the unanimous classics conversation. Now, I will make a video one day detailing the top rappers in the world objectively. Can't argue with the technical skill because technical skill is objective. But legacy, all those other things, that's where it gets kind of subjective when it's really objective all around, but people like to argue and speculate. But skill is the price of admission into the rap game, right? Which might not even be true in 2026, but that's neither here nor there. We let Lil Pump get popping in this industry. I'll never forgive y'all for that. What actually creates immortality is something else entirely from skill. A unanimous classic tells the truth of its time so well that it becomes timeless. GKMC did that. Good Kid, Mad City did that. But Kendrick wasn't done. He didn't just build one classic, he built a system. So 3 years after Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick drops To Pimp a Butterfly. And this is where the story gets interesting because T-Pab To Pimp a Butterfly was a risk that almost nobody in a mainstream rap career would have taken. He came off arguably the best rap debut of his generation and responded with a 78-minute jazz funk soul spoken word statement album about black identity, systemic oppression, and inner conflict. And it has no radio singles, no trap beats. It debuted at number one anyway. Then it won the Grammy for Best Rap Album. Then it got a Pulitzer Prize nomination in the same year as Damn, making Kendrick the first non classical, non jazz artist to win a Pulitzer for music. So let me stop and explain why that sequencing of events matters. Most people look at that and say, he's just talented. But that's not wrong, it's just incomplete. What Kendrick understood and what most artists never figure out is that the album is not the product. The world around the album is the product. So GKMC gave you a character. Good Kid Mad City gave you a character. TPAB gave you the character's philosophy, psychology. TPAB gave you the character's psychology. To Pimp a Butterfly gave you the character's psychology. Damn gave you the character's theology. And then in 2023, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers gave you the character's therapy. That's not a discography, that's a universe. Every album is an episode in a long running series where the stakes keep getting higher and the audience keeps getting more invested. And then in 2024, he launches PG Lang. Now, this is the part nobody talks about. PG Lang is not a record label. Kendrick has been very specific about this. It's described as a service company, meaning it's an IP development and creative services entity. It manages his music, yes, but also books, films, and cultural projects. It's structured so that Kendrick owns the creative output, not the label. He's not signed to PG Lang. He is PG Lang. And when the Drake beef happened, the Not Like Us rollout, the Kia Forum pop-up concert with 65,000 people in 2 days, the Super Bowl halftime show, that was PG Lang operating. That was a fully vertical operation. Creative, rollout, live performance, cultural moment, all controlled by Kendrick. The Big Steppers tour alone grossed over $110 million. That's not record label money shared four ways with executives who didn't write a single bar. That's Kendrick's company money. So this is what the artist economics research. So this is what artist economics research is calling the superstar multiplier. And it doesn't just happen because you're talented. It happens when you reach a level of cultural saturation where your name unlocks a category of opportunities that simply don't exist below that threshold. Below the threshold of being a superstar, all these opportunities don't exist. But here's the part that's hardest to hear. Most artists never get there because they confuse being good with being immortal. There's so many great artists out there, but they're not immortal. They don't build worlds. They don't build universes. Excuse me, universes, not just worlds. They could be good storytellers, but they're not building worlds that people are invested in. And I get it. Um, Being an artist is kind of like um, being being a poser because you have to kind of be an actor. You have to act out your entire world that you're trying to build, and you have to commit to it. But a lot of people just don't commit to that. Like J. Cole. J. Cole is one of the greatest rappers in the world, but he never committed to a certain world that, he broke character from the world when he apologized to Kendrick Lamar. He broke character. Hip hop is all about acting like you the best. It's a character. It's not real. If they saw each other, they would dap each other up. It's not real. Hip hop has never been real. It's been fake. It's been a fake persona based on whatever you want the world to hear or know about you. Simple. And that's okay. We love it for what it is. But let's remember what it is and leave Cole alone when he's a real human being who did that, not a hip hop artist. He's a real human being. So we're gonna segue that into elite lyricism because Black Thought is considered by Eminem and Kendrick himself to be one of the greatest lyricists to ever touch a mic, right? And remember, I was talking to you about those technical scores that I compiled. His technical score in any series ranking puts him at the absolute top. Puts him at the top. But let's talk about net worth. Let's talk about it, bro. Let's talk about how skill doesn't equate to net worth. Black Thought's net worth is somewhere around $6 to $12 million. Is he richer than Kendrick Lamar? No. Kendrick Lamar's net worth is estimated at over $100 million and climbing. That gap isn't because Kendrick is a better rapper, because in a pure technical bar for bar breakdown, that's a genuine debate right there. The gap exists because Kendrick understood something that most lyricists never fully internalize. The music is the proof, the architecture is the product. The bars prove you belong in the industry, right? But the world you build is what makes you irreplaceable in the industry. So he built a narrative that spans multiple albums. He built PG Lang to own the output of that narrative. He aligned every public moment, from the Drake beef to the Super Bowl, with the same consistent identity. The Compton kid who refuses to be anything but specific, honest, and uncomfortable. And that's why debates about Kendrick eventually stop. Because you can argue taste, you can't argue impact. In that framework, building a world, owning the IP, staying honest to the point of discomfort, it isn't exclusive to Kendrick. It's the architecture behind every artist in the unanimous classic conversation. Nas did it in 9 tracks on Illmatic. Outkast did it by refusing to let Atlanta ask permission from New York. Lauryn Hill did it by saying what no one else was willing to say from where she was standing. So the framework is real. The question is whether you're willing to apply it. So here's what I want to leave you with today. The secret behind Kendrick Lamar's success isn't the Pulitzer. It isn't the Drake battle. It isn't even the bars. As extraordinary as they are, it's that he started building a world when everyone else was building a single. He owned the IP when everyone else was grateful for the deal. And he stayed honest enough to risk everything, every single time, on the chance that the truth would outlive the trend. So virality is rented, legacy is engineered. So the question I want to do, the question I want to sit with you, the question I want you to sit with until the next episode, next week, is what are you building that no one can replicate once you're gone? Not what song are you making, not what algorithm are you chasing, what world are you building? So I'm Kai. I'm Kai from Bridgeport. This is the immortal blueprint. So I'm Kai from Bridgeport, and this is the immortal blueprint. Tune in. Edit out the tune in.